Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder.
What's up, guys? Ryan with Torsion Talk Podcast. We got Tamara quick on the button today.
And yep.
I only had to do it twice. It's better than 3 times, right?
Yeah, it is.
No, we'll give Tamara some grace this morning. Is it morning still? Yes.
It is.
It's below 60 degrees in Texas. And, you know, all things go to hell in Texas. That's, you know, when things go below 60 degrees. So they don't know how to act and they kind of freak out. So we'll give her some grace.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How you holding up out there with all the cold weather?
Good. It's keeps saying snow, but it's not snowing yet. So
has it iced?
Yeah, there's ice. Like the trees are covered in ice. I can see it on the sidewalk, so I'm not even going outside.
That's what sucks. Like here in Georgia, we get snow kind of, but we get like ice.
Yeah.
And that's even worse because the trees get heavy and then they start falling and power lines and all that stuff. So it's really tough.
Yeah.
So I want to share a little bit about, I'm not going to introduce our guest just yet, but what I want to do is I want to share some of the challenges that are out there and talk about the solution that we found. So, you know, as a growing company or someone who has multiple growing companies, I sometimes find it difficult or complicated or just a daunting task to do, like, write the most perfect job description and get it posted and go through the process. And I even have copywriters at my disposal. You know, you now have like, you know, I'm using Chat GPT. So you got all these things, but it's super nice to have a platform I've been using recently. And actually, I've just recently listed like 6 positions, I think, Tamara?
Yep, just about.
And out of those 6 positions, I believe we filled 4 of them within 30 days with phenomenal people. Like the amount of talent and quality that these people bring to the table, they're going to level our business up big time. And I'm super pumped about it. And we used Wizehire. Wizehire is the platform that we have been using to recruit people, get resumes. Talented people are replying and responding. I love the, you know, I posted on my Facebook the other day, Wizehire has like the disc assessment feature, which I think is phenomenal. It's like free to use. You can send it to whoever. That has been super cool because we had our whole team do it. And then I like if I'm getting down the funnel with people and I want to see if they're kind of a good personality fit, because everybody can like fake you out, right? It's like speed dating and you're trying to make a lifelong decision. So having that disc assessment shows their strengths, weaknesses. It tells you if they're a good fit, or what's cool is it'll tell you if they're a good fit for a different position you're hiring for, which is even more cool. So like a lot of times I was going through and I was like, hey, this girl may, or, you know, woman, lady, whatever you want to call her, he, her, she, may be perfect for this other position, but not this one. And so I really appreciated that guidance and being able to tell me that. And, you know, it even tells you when they're a poor fit. And so you can kind of skim the resume. I don't know that that's end all be all, but I do think that it's very helpful in helping us help guide us. So today we have the CEO of Wizehire here, Sid, to share a little bit about his platform, talk about hiring. I want to talk to him about the atmosphere right now in the marketplace for jobs. and just kind of go down that path. And hopefully this will help you guys out. And by the end of this, you'll be comfortable with using Wizehire. It's very affordable. You guys have heard me before. We're not spending enough money advertising for employees, but we're willing to spend ungodly amounts of money to get customers, when customers are a lot of times for us transactional, and we won't see them again for 10, 15 years. Where are we going to live with these people every single day in the office? So why not invest a little money to get good people? So Sid, how are you?
I'm doing well. First off, Ryan, Tamara, thanks for having me on. What a glowing accolade. I think we want to put that on the website, in fact, afterwards. I love the experience that y'all been through. What y'all are going through is exactly what we hear every day with hardworking Main Street business owners. You're wearing so many hats, and at the end of the day, you needed that talent yesterday. It's 11 o'clock at night. How can you go through this process on your own? Because you're competing with big businesses. That's what we just want to fix every single day for every company like yours. Love it. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, so I came from software. I'm a total UI nerd, right? Like total UI nerd. And you guys crushed it with the layout, just making it super simple to find everything. You know, it took me a minute to find the disc assessment stuff, but that was it. Like everything else was so easy. And so I felt like, you know, being able to log in and move people like a Trello board and update them and message them in there and have all my notes and see the disc assessment information. Like all of that is great, even to the point where like if the disc assessment was over 18 months, there's like a warning that's like, hey, this disc assessment's over 18 months old. You may want to consider, you know, getting a new one or not basing your decision off of this. So I just think the whole layout, like whoever was like, definitely wasn't an engineer, most likely. So whoever did the design and UI.
Software is a team sport. Everyone from the customer to our coaches, everyone is involved in it. And Ryan, I think what you're getting at here is that so much of recruiting software, so much of the tech that's available to a small business really isn't built for a small business. You know, you're talking about the pain of writing a job ad. Again, you needed that person yesterday. How do you get started? If you're using tools and systems that don't speak your language, but speak that of an HR person, a professional that's been living and breathing that industry, how can you even begin to like start the process? And so when you think about Wizehire, and you were describing the challenge of writing the job ad, that's the number one aha moment we want to give you in like 30 seconds of starting. Answer the questions that you know the answers to. What's the role? How much do you think you want to pay? And if you don't know, we'll give you market data. How competitive is it? Just off that, we can give you context. Where are you posting? I think I know where my business is. And from there, I think the power of what we've built is, you know, we are aiming to build the most personalized recruiting platform that speaks the language of Main Street businesses. So when you actually went through the process of posting and you were asked personalized questions like, does someone have, you know, service tech experience? Does someone have customer service experience? Those are curated because we understand, we talk and interview with customers. We understand, wait, versus that black box or that white screen, almost like a college essay. How do you even begin approaching that? Maybe GPT-3 will get you started and you can edit. But, you know, we want to give you all the benefits and all the advantages that big companies have with their professional recruiters. Level that playing field, because this is the year for Main Street businesses. Like there is so much bullishness that we see. Yes, there's challenges in the market and we'll dive into it. But and back to like what y'all are doing and giving your community all these tools, tips and tricks to just keep winning at the end of the day. I love it.
Yeah. Love your energy, bro. I can tell you're really excited about it.
Yeah.
I want to talk like we're going to get to like hiring and the job market. But before we do, I do want to like just bring awareness to our listeners. I want to share with you guys how simple this is, right? And for those of you guys who feel like this is a daunting task, you can literally have a job posting up in probably like first time under 5 to 10 minutes without even writing a job description. As he was saying, like it goes through a list of questions. They have like basically templates built out that I guess are effective with people applying and work with the algorithms of all the companies that they distribute this out to. So you guys are probably figuring it out. So, you know, like for technicians, they got like HVAC. They don't have garage doors. Maybe we can talk Sid into adding like a garage door. portion, but yeah, this is great, right? So like I went in, added like an HVAC something for garage door, modified it a little bit because the jobs are similar. I just made a few modifications, changed the title, and I literally had that post up in, I don't know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe.
The magic that happens behind the scenes when you submit the ad, I think, is where we get to, give you this like white glove experience that like a staffing firm would provide, right? Tamara's saying like, yes, because she's worked with hiring coaches. Every job on our platform, whether you start with a template or write one yourself, we know that you only get to put your best foot forward once, like you do with your customers. So we have a team of coaches. These are experts in the industry. They've reviewed hundreds of ads, like your competitors or someone else in another market, and they're giving you all the advantages of having worked with prior customers, editing that ad, getting it set up for success for all the things you might have missed. And we'll also give you context on how successful you'll be in your local area, because that's the biggest thing that I see, which is like, hey, we're small business owners, we're deeply connected. We hear about how our friend does, but if we don't have the same results, how can we like optimize? How can we like adjust? That's where our coaches give that context and are always proactively helping you to say, hey, you might have missed this candidate, or here's some tips to get ready for that next interview. It's I think we're just getting started, man. That's what I'll say. There's so much more we can do to make this easier.
All right. So the templated process is super convenient. And then like I felt like I thought somebody hacked my account because there was somebody in there like talking to these applicants like, hey, fill out this profile, or hey, looks like you almost completed everything, but we have a few more questions. And I'm like, oh my God, my account got hacked. And then I'm reading it, I'm like, why are they hacking my account and helping me with these applicants? And I'm like, wait a minute, they're coaches, they're the coaches, right? So like you guys have staff who are actually like reviewing these applicants and jobs and like making suggestions and even like reaching out to the applicants to help move them forward, which is like crazy, bro.
We get to be your HR team in some sense.
That's nuts, dude. I don't even know. Like, I mean, I hope you guys are profitable, because you're like, I feel like your do not raise the price on me, but I feel like your product is pretty cheap, like for what you deliver. And then you got like real people on the other end. These aren't like BDC members in like Philippines. Like I'm assuming, because they spoke perfect English. They were like super upbeat and outgoing through the like, they're like Tamara. Like they were.
Our hiring coaches are like people we know. They're actually, it's a full team based in the US. And what we do, Ryan, is we actually hire deeply empathetic people from other walks of life. So whether they worked in customer service or insurance, and then over the last almost decade, sounds crazy, but as a small business, we've been building technology for our coaches. We actually call it Iron Man, and internally they can kind of like help hundreds of companies at the same time. So it's pretty powerful. Again, we want to give our customers, small businesses, just another leg up, give them the staffing service, like feel white glove service that they just can't afford. And I think we're on our way to something magical here.
Yeah. So just to give you guys a frame of reference, if you were to go hire like a headhunter or like a recruiting service, I mean, you're going to pay a minimum. I think probably the cheapest I've ever seen was probably 15% of the total annual income of that person.
Thousands of dollars.
Some cases, 10,000 or more. I've seen, I think the going rate, like the average, what I'm seeing right now is 30% of the total annual income of that person. So let's say you hire a $60,000 employee. What is that? 6, 12, $18,000.
$18K going out the door with like very little contingency there. That's a lot at risk. And it's a
Could
lot.
you
Of
imagine if I would have used a recruiting service to hire 6 people in 1 month? Dude, that would have freaking been a lot of money. And instead, I'm paying like $200 a month. Bro,
I love it. That's exactly what we want to do. Like that, it should feel almost irresponsible for you to not use Wizehire. That is the price that we aspire for.
I like that. I'm gonna
Well achieved, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. when a customer calls in and is like, your price is too high, and be like, you're gonna be irresponsible for not paying my extra price. So yeah. Anyway, Sid, let's talk about so everybody's gonna think I'm a fanboy. I am a little bit of a fanboy. Anytime it can be that easy and I can hire this many quality people. And I'm not really sure it's like your platform for the reason that we got so many great people. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's probably the market a little bit too, right? Like I think you guys do a good job of getting it out there, but I do believe like I've been listing jobs for 3 years straight. Like I run jobs that I'm not even hiring for right now, just trying to build a pool, and like I'll skim through them and just see, right? And so I'm watching the talent of people that are submitting applications. Dude, we're not having trouble getting applicants. I got one job and I reached out to your team this morning. I've already got a response. I was like, hey, I need some help with this. Like, we're not getting the response we want. But all the other positions, like it was bombarded. Like I had phenomenal response. So I would say that, what do you think is going on in the job market? Is this just me having this perception, or is this everybody?
No, so it very much varies city to city. And I think that's like the biggest thing we have to always talk about from Main Street, because, you know, our jobs are local jobs. It depends on like, you know, I hopped on before we hopped on the call. I actually looked up garage door repair. I looked at the number of competitors and the number of resumes for just Texas and then like, you know, Georgia, very different markets. So when that comes to like skilled labor, right? The thing that we're seeing here, it's actually all in the benefit of small businesses right now. A recession is on everyone's minds, and the way that it's playing out right now with the macro environment, with the Fed rate, you know, one that might come out later today, it's big businesses that are having a lot of the challenges right now. Big businesses that have backed off on hiring, big businesses that are like really, you know, going through layoffs and big changes. I think the point I always emphasize is that that's you know, Wall Street. Main Street is the most resilient employer, because when you and I are ready to hire someone as small business owners, we're thinking that is our own money and we're putting it we're betting on someone in that way. So it's a very different labor market. And so what we're seeing is, as large businesses are like pulling back, large businesses that were historically hiring remote, competing with us in our markets are pulling back from that. There's a lot more people that are now left with fewer alternatives. And in some cases, that's exactly what the Federal Reserve wants to see happen, which is fewer jobs for that soft landing. Well, the advantage is that small businesses are those of people that are still hiring, and we're taking advantage of it, matching candidates with great opportunities like yours. We have seen hiring just skew even more and more towards small businesses. It's a good thing. And I think, you know, if we step back, Ryan, and look at like the wild kind of like up and down market we've all lived through since the height of the pandemic, this is a win that small businesses need. And I think we're all going to like cherish it, build the teams that we need, get through this period of time, because, you know, there's a lot of unknown, but, you know, it's a very favorable market for small business right now.
You know what I found? There was a common theme between almost everybody that I interviewed on the admin side. And that was, we got bought out. Like that was a very common conversation. And they consolidated, and, you know, my position was eliminated. I know in the garage door industry, we're getting like a lot of exposure with private equity firms.
Yes.
I'm fielding emails and phone calls like all the time. You know, you have that. And I think you're stupid if you don't at least listen. But we're probably not at a place where I think we need to be. And like, we're babies. And, you know, I broke my back launching this company, so I'm not going to let it go for cheap, you know? So it's like my stubbornness.
Wait for the multiples to get a little better. I think they will in due course of time.
Yeah. When there's less companies and they're looking for, 100%, you know, they're going to go out and sweep up the market, and the companies who hold out a little bit, I think, you know, you tend to see those multiples go up when the sea's not so open, right? It's not a blue ocean anymore. It's like a pool, and you got to pick and choose who you want out of the pool.
I mean, right. You just said like 3 things about this market that like, again, make us so bullish about home services and like small businesses in general, right? You know, back to candidates, admins that are like facing consolidation and efficiency in big corporate settings. those are candidates that small businesses were always losing out on, essentially. It's great for that talent to come down to Main Street. And then back to like, the M&A market and private equity, like, hey, now is the time to build your business. Now is the time to like, stack the deck in your favor. Think about the people that'll help you earn the trust of customers. You and I, we talk so much about this being a customer service business at the end of the day. And in this market where you have more talent that you can choose from, that's like a win-win for everyone. So it's going to be very good for, I think, everyone listening.
Yeah, I agree. So we have an applicant come in. I know my process, probably untraditional. What do you advise people to do when you're combing through applicants and you see one and you're like, man, this one looks good? What's your next move?
Yeah, so I think definitely a process that's systematic is one of the best things to do, because oftentimes when we think about like small businesses in the game of, luck versus skill versus big companies, the process, just by what we've instituted in our platform, goes a long way, right? We've got those swim lanes, the Trello-like experience. That way you can have the same mindset when you're looking at all the candidates versus, hey, someone that's in later stages, you're thinking about their skill set, that interview, but wait, then I'm looking at this other candidate. I don't know much about him, but I'm going to make a quick judgment. So it's all about like in that same moment of time, doing the same task, not like kind of, looking at later stage and early stage. Definitely based on the role, I think it's important to think about what are the competencies that drive success. And, that's like a big fancy word for saying like, hey, what am I going to get up excited about this person taking off my plate? When I wrote that job ad and I answered a question like, I need this as a must have, let's make sure that we're being really, really, really rigorous to ensure like candidates meet that high bar. If it's a process where you're leaning on a couple of people supporting you, being really timely once you make a decision to move people through, follow-up speed matters, right? Text candidates, email candidates, like that's how we keep winning on Main Street. Finally, when it comes to like, getting later in the process, you mentioned the disc, this is a customer service related business. We think that, in many, many roles, having a sense of how someone is going to get not just excited about your job, right, motivated for it, but also have the right alignment for what the job is. If my personality is not attuned to, the same task day in and day out, I'm probably not set up for success in this business. Maybe there's another role for me. Back to how you said, like, it varies by role. So we definitely don't think of the disc as a hire fire signal, but much more the nuanced way of thinking about, is this the right role? Am I the right organization? Let's have a deep dialogue. And that's when you get later in the process, we actually give, interview guides that really help first-time managers that may not have done this have a thoughtful process. Again, I'm hopping on 5-minute phone screen with someone. I don't want to talk about baseball with this candidate and have a real interview with this person. Let's again, make it systematic. That way we can, really top grade and get the best candidates.
So I have two issues with me. I got a lot more, but with hiring. All right. So, first of all, I will look at I'll look at like I've always been an underdog my whole life, dropped out of high school, like always got turned down for jobs because I didn't have this, didn't have that. And so I'm looking, like, I have a tendency to have this, I'm looking for a gym, and that's bit me in the ass over the years, like hard. So I'm realizing like not everybody's like me, right? Like maybe that gym is a gym. Like I'm trying to like polish a turd into a diamond, and not that they're a turd, Tamara. I know what you're thinking, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying, maybe they don't fit the role perfectly, or they're not, experienced enough. And I'm like, oh, I can take this person and I can build them up, and they're like me. And
you fall in love with people really fast.
Fall in love with people really fast. So it's kind of like, I don't know that I should be the one going through them, but it's really easy with your system and having the disc there to hold myself accountable to being like, okay, do they freaking qualify? Yes or no? No? Okay, disqualified. Boom, they're out, right? And it's like an inbox, and you just keep it clean. And then what I was doing is I was calling people as soon as it hit. If they look good, if it was 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, babe, hang on 1 second. And I'm like, hello, this is Ryan with Aaron Overhead Door. They're like, wow, I just submitted my application. And then you guys have the recommended options, right? Where you guys are like matching people. So in that process, staying disciplined, I think, is super important. And I'm not sure that business owners are great at that, especially like blue collar business owners. Like, I think sometimes we find people and, you know, I'll look at their Facebook. I'm a stalker. So like there's certain things I look for that'll totally disqualify you. You know, like if you're, you know, burning the flag and you're in Antifa, I'm probably not hiring you. But if you know, if you're military, I love that. Like it shows discipline, it shows character and structure. You're usually pretty good with that. So there's certain, you know, you can kind of take from that what you want, but this podcast is going to get crushed.
Consistency in everything, including price, reliability, quality, not just quality, but great quality control. These are things that describe Somer USA. Somer's not some startup company, not one that you need to be worried about going out of business in the near future. Somer and their family of businesses are $200 million companies. They're in over 100 countries, and they have locations in 20 countries. This is a large organization who stands behind their product and works through integrity. And there's not another company out there willing to drop what they're doing and help you out like Somer. These guys are awesome. Not only have they been loyal to the Torsion Talk podcast, they've been loyal to the technicians and the owners of the companies who install their product. In my opinion, if you're not at least offering Somer as an additional option, you're cheating yourself. Listen, first-time dealers, I've got a special for you. If you buy 10 or more Somers between now and the end of season 6, while supplies last, we will offer you free shipping. You have no more excuses. The prices are great. The product is amazing. Go check out Somer USA and order 10 for free shipping.
Ryan, I think of it this way. So first off, you know, back to like the competitiveness that we've seen. I think that's where we've got to like, you know, be balanced about how selective or how much we're willing to invest, right? Yeah. If it's a market where, you know, it's a employer's market, you're getting people that are meeting all the skill sets that you need. Hey, raise that bar, right? You owe it to your team, you owe it to the business. We almost think about recruiting almost like a, you know, the decision process, it's like a three-legged stool, right? Like you got to have some of the skill sets that are critical, right? If it's, you know, I talk to a lot of small business owners where, you know, their trade requires a year plus of training, and sometimes they do not have the capital to invest in that. That's a must-have for them, and they got to think through that. Then when you think about the rest of the background, hey, what are the nice-to-haves, right? That's like another leg of the stool. Personality, it's one more leg of it, right? So it's very much like you need all of these foundations in order to like really like find success. And that's why, you know, back to like the system, you want to be like, when you're making a yes, no decision at a stage, be just cognizant of like, is it appropriate for the candidate pool that I have? I've met customers where, you know, again, back to like really, really high skilled, like, you know, like, especially like we're doing a lot of work with auto tech right now with EVs. And it's like, wait, okay, that person has a license. There's only like 5 of these in your state. You kind of just need to talk to this person because that's just the state of the market for you. So that's, you know, back to your point about like how hard this is for small businesses. You know, if we try our best to kind of let people know how competitive the market is so they can then kind of like balance their process, right? Being too selective or versus being like, you know, too onerous with the process or whatever the case.
Yeah. So let's say you making that first phone call, it's a screening, right? I'm going to tell you what I do and you tell me what I'm doing wrong. You critique me.
Let's do it.
All right. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, Tamara, this is Brian. You just applied for my so-and-so position with Aaron Overhead Doors or such media. Thank you. First of all, we really appreciate your interest in working here. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the company, a little more about the position, and learn about you to see if this is a good fit. Is that okay? Do you have a couple minutes? And they're like, yes or no. If they say yes, I'm like, awesome. Let me tell you, like, you know, company's 3 years old. I came from software, opened up a garage door company, had a need for marketing. No other marketing company could fill it. So I started such and such media. We've blown up. We're 3 years old. We got 10 employees. Let me tell you about the team. And I kind of like give a little snippet of each person in the team. By the end of that, they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like your team sounds amazing. And I want to be a part. I love the way you describe them and how passionate you are about your business. And so like they're bought in, right? Like, and that's half the battle, I believe, right? It's like, okay, like all these people are applying for multiple jobs. I'm not the only one, I can't be the jealous girlfriend, so I gotta be open, and I gotta know that I gotta hook them. And then I tell them all the bad stuff. I'm like, but wait a minute, you got to be in here at 7:30 every morning, but you get to leave at 3, I'm not.
I don't think that's bad stuff, Ryan. I think candidates want to hear all this information because they're about to invest their time in you the same way you're trying to invest time in them. I think that call script is great because as a small business owner, we don't have often the brand recognition that other job that they applied to has. Use this call, tell them a story, talk about your employer value proposition, how you're unique, talk about the team, right? These are exactly the right selling points. Get them bought in. Advertise the process. That's one thing we always emphasize. Hey, I want to learn a little bit about you. Sure, let's like screen the basic stuff on that first call. Let me tell you about my process. I'm going to tell you at the top of the call. I'm going to tell you at the back of the call, because that's the one thing that we've seen with candidates from their experience in this journey. I mean, look at like the job market. Look at like when we talk to other employers, right? Candidates are ghosting me. Candidates aren't showing up. Well, it's because they've been burnt by other employers. They don't know that you're a great employer. Use this as a chance. Let them know. And I love how proactive you're being. Proactivity is a way to win as a small business right now.
Yeah. Well, I treat it like there's two, like when we have a lead come in from a customer, like my staff knows, like I'm like Johnny on the spot. Like you have 5 minutes to respond to that lead, or else I'm like, have you called Brian Wilson yet? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's been 6 minutes.
They're going to the next one on Yelp. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you need to call now. And they're like, oh, well, I'm in the middle of something. Drop it. I don't care. Like if you like whatever you're doing, it's not as important. Like call them. And so yeah, it's like I'm not a micromanager, maybe. But I am with leads on employees and leads on customers, right? Maybe I'm a little micromanager. But
you care.
I care, right? Like I really care about those two things. Like getting to people quickly is part of who we are. And so it's nice to hear that I'm kind of doing that right, because it's successful. I don't have a problem with people showing up to interviews. I think we had nobody did not show up, right? Did we have anybody not show up to an interview?
I don't think we did. I think they all showed up. Everyone that responded showed up.
Yeah. So we go from that call to a Zoom.
Perfect.
And then we go from a Zoom to an in-person.
Perfect.
And then what we do in person is I will get them with multiple people in the company, and I'm like, ask them questions, like, ask them about the culture, ask them about their job, ask them, whatever you want to ask them, just open dialogue. There's no wrong questions. And then I'll tell my staff there's no wrong answers. Like, just tell them the truth, like exactly as it is. Don't build it up. Don't sell it. Just tell it how it is. And people like really appreciate that, being able to spend time with the employees and hang out for a bit and kind of feel the culture.
No, I think you're doing a really good process here. And I think if I were to give like critiques and maybe some suggestions, it's all about that process, right? Like you've got a whole team supporting you here. The question I'd ask, and I ask this to everyone, are we asking the same questions? Does everyone have a portion of the interview that they're like responsible for? Like, when we do internal hiring, we have someone that focuses on culture, and they've done dozens and hundreds of these at this point. So they're really, really fine tuned. When it comes to the experience, right? Okay, is that experience really applicable? Let's like dig into that, right? There's a person that maybe knows, oh yeah, that type of trade, that'll work, but this would not. Great kind of like way to like build some focus areas. And then we as a group get together, have a little bit of a dialogue, again, deliberate in an open setting. Super important for people that like, maybe are a little skittish, have a no response to maybe like pre-write that. That way you have like a really fair kind of dialogue if that's how you make decisions. How do y'all make decisions as a side note, like when you have a group setting? Super curious.
So here at such and such, I'll go in and I'll say, hey, what do you guys think? And they know, like, first we're talking culture. I hire off culture fit first and then skill second. So they'll be like, oh, I think she's a good culture fit, but you said that you wanted somebody with 5+ years experience with these things. And after talking to her, she only got 2, are you okay with that? And I'll be like, yeah, well, I got a couple other people, but I was intrigued by her. So I wanted to bring her in and let you meet her. And so, most recently we were hiring for a strategist. Daisha came with a phenomenal idea, which I thought was super cool. We were all torn because we had multiple applicants that were like qualified and great. So she's like, have them build a strategy for a customer, like give them the scope and just have them build it. So we did that with 4 people, and they were all super willing and enjoyed the process and shot it over to me. And we believe that we were able to make a more intelligent decision based on that information. It wasn't so much the content in it, but it was also the deliverables and like how they formatted it and like the time they took and
a great work exercise. I mean, you're getting a sense of like what it's like to work with them in a sense. You can make that an open dialogue, have more people like asking questions. Why did you go this way? Why did you go that way? So glad you did that, man.
Yeah, that was great. And so that helps. But yeah, that's how we handle it here. Over there, we do it a little bit different. Most of our staff's out on the road on air and overhead doors. So it's really hard but we'll invite them to our morning meetings sometimes if we're farther down the road.
Nice.
We trust them because we talk about whatever in there. And so if they come into those meetings and they're still willing to work for us, then it's good because there's a lot of cracking jokes and music and God only knows.
You're giving them an opportunity to opt out. And I think that's really wise because ultimately, right, it's the culture, the teammates that are going to keep and retain someone. And so, for any small business owner that we talk to that's doing in-person interviewing, like that's a really healthy step. And don't just make it about you and the candidate. It's about the candidate and the team, because that's how you get like long-term, like longevity, a long-term relationship, essentially.
That's where you just said something that I believe is way underrated. Don't smile, Tamara. Is that I'm so involved in the hiring process and I can build relationship really fast, right? Like I can connect with people. I'm very caring. I'm empathetic, understanding. And so I'm just like an all around great guy, so
humble also.
I was on a path. I was just like, man, this is my shot, so I took it. No, but like when I build this relationship with these people and then they get hired and they report to someone else, I hear from people that they feel a little disconnected, like they built the bond with me, but then they're now working for someone else. And everyone that I hire, we're all very empathetic and kind and all that, but it's different, right? So like Josh is a little colder. He's still warm, but he's not going to tell you what he's thinking. You're going to know exactly what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just so blunt about it. And so, so people sometimes have a hard time reading him, which I learned from his DISC assessment too. Right. So I like
great way for others to learn how to work together. Right.
Yeah. Like I was reading his DISC assessment last night. Matter of fact, dude, I'm going to share something with you real quick while we're on this topic, but I want you to comment. I want you to comment while I'm pulling this up.
I'll give you commentary on like what you said around the group atmosphere and your hiring process there. I think for any small business owner, super important to realize this. That candidate's success in your business isn't just dictated by your relationship and theirs. It's the team and the people that they work with. And that's one of the big reasons you want to involve them in the process. I tell that to any candidate I work with, which is, hey, look, your success in this role depends on this team. It's a team first company. It's not just you and me that are going to drive the bus. It's everyone. And so spending time meeting these people, because it's all about the business opting in, the candidate opting in. I love the process that you're running here, Ryan. Super curious about the question about the DISC, man. Take it away.
Yeah. So it's not so much a question, but it's an email that I received because I sent the report to one of my employees who asked for it. He said, thank you for sending this. I read it last night and I'm impressed with how accurate it was. It definitely highlighted a few things I want to work on. I'm planning to complete the worksheet attached to it to dig a little deeper. And then he goes on to say, I hit my 1-year anniversary with the team yesterday. I want to thank you for bringing me on board and letting me know that I'm super proud to work. Let you know that I'm super proud to work for AOD. fun and exciting year. I learned a lot, blah, blah, blah. And he lists like 5 things that he's going to work on this year, like being a better leader and, attention to detail with handoff. Like, I mean, God, dog, like this is the type of emails that you love to get, right? But all this was spurned from us sending out the disc assessment and walking through it with everybody. And I'll tell you, this is like PG-13. Is it okay if we do PG-13?
Yeah.
I'll be a listener.
So it was funny. We were going over the disc assessment, and I probably shouldn't.
Oh God. Yeah, maybe don't. If it's
we'll skip it and talk in theory, which is like,
well, I was like, hey, you have a little D and you have a big I, and everybody was like, what did you just say? So anyway, it became like a theme as we were going through everybody's. So anyway, a little bit of PG-13 humor there.
And for anyone unfamiliar with the disc assessment, what Ryan's talking about here is D, I, S, and C, with D being the dominance, I being the influence category, S being steadiness, and C conscientious. So I got you, man.
Yeah. So I'd like to wrap up this podcast talking about the disc assessment. You guys have kind of figured out like what personalities match what type of job. That's incredible. Like that connection, I believe, is huge. So people that are successful in different things. So let's talk a little bit about the disc assessment. What can you learn from it? How can it be used? And how do you present that to your team to get buy-in?
Okay, first off, disc is something that is the heart of how we got started. So backstory for you, Ryan, since you're a big Wizehire fanboy, my co-founder Jay actually wrote the disc assessment that we use. And where we actually got started was by selling the disc assessment to big consultancies that would help the big Fortune 500s. And we realized, wow, Bain and McKinsey are helping Fortune 500s. All of a sudden, I saw it again and again. I was a big skeptic here as a mind. Like I'm running a business today where it's a big part of the product, but I was a skeptic and I saw success and realized that, wow, these organizations would have a consultant come in, morale was low, people would get reoriented into roles that they were a better fit for who their natural self is. And that's where success came from. And that's where we realized, wow, we need to make this easier, more accessible for small businesses. So to what the disc assessment will show, first off, our disc assessment is actually 2 assessments together. One is on the how. So like, what is driving you at the end of the day? And then the other is motivators. So why am I waking up in the morning excited about a role? The what of the role, it's, hey, is a role more task oriented or is it more people oriented? That's hypercritical for who our natural self is. How am I compensated? How am I being rewarded? How am I being motivated? Another element of the role that we try to give insight into. The big thing that we always try to emphasize is like, it's not going to give you a yes, no on a role. Right. It's much more about the nuance. How does someone fit into your business, into the team that you've got? Where do you have enough diversity of opinions, perspectives? The report that you were talking through is one of the most powerful things, because when you sit down and, you kind of have this moment of like disbelief where like it describes you really, really well. And then you start to dig deeper and it'll give areas of like, hey, these are things to consider that may be applicable to scenarios. Here's an exercise. Like those are the ways that we think to use it really well for onboarding, where if you think about, hey, we're working with someone new that's joining our organization. We have our own culture. How do we bring someone in? How do they learn to communicate well with us? That's like one of my favorite pages, which is communication work style. Really helps everyone understand, wait, if I'm talking to Ryan, this is the way that I want to communicate, high level and then dig into details versus the opposite or whatever the case. So, a lot of meaty content in there. And it all comes from like psychological research from like the 1920s, which is the best part of it, because it's been used by so many organizations, incredibly powerful stuff. I think we're just scratching the surface here. But our goal really is to make it the most applicable. There's one part of it that I will call out, actually, because you're using it for onboarding. It actually also talks about how much someone can extend from one personality persuasion to another. And that one, the way we draw that analogy and why we don't use it for recruiting is because, my job may require me to do something that I don't really enjoy, but I have to do it for the sake of the job. I'll do it for a certain part of the day. But if I was instead in a role, I'll give an example. Let's say attention to detail. And, hey, I'm much more 30,000 foot. If I was in a job that required me to be in accounts payable, making sure every single thing was ready for 365 days a year, I would probably burn out in that role. And that's the level of clarity that we're looking for, which is, hey, do you have the right skills for a role? Do you have the right motivations for how this organization works? And are you aligned to the natural way of working for this job? It's magic, because that's what we're all looking for, right? Like the perfect place to work, the perfect like place to call home. And it's like one way that we can help people find that right fit.
100%. Tamara, you got anything?
No, I'm just super excited. And I just want to appreciate or thank you, Sid, for coming on, because this is, I don't know if you, just some accolades, but I work with business owners, and hiring is such an issue on all levels of, you know, they range from doing $100,000 a year in revenue to over 10 million. And it is a consistent issue. And I think that your platform is going to be a game changer for a lot of them. It's just like, it's very exciting.
Deeply appreciate the accolades. No, I will say our commitment is to help small businesses succeed at the end of the day. Hiring is just part of that journey, right? Because we are a team first organization at the end of the day. We're betting on people. That's what small business is. And we just love being a part of the ride with every customer that we get to work with.
Yeah. We probably should promote our like affiliate link or something. So
we'll get you hooked up with one if you don't have one.
No joke. I think we've already like I learned about it from a guy in GDU, Levi Tanner, from Tanner's Garage Doors. He learned about it from Thomas Keenan, who's an author and uses your product, author, speaker. We had brought him into an event that we had at GDU in Dallas in December. And Thomas commented on my disc assessment and was like, bro, is that Wizehire? I'm like, yes. I was like, actually, I'm pretty sure like how it got to me was through you originating this. But now we have like a bunch of members in GDU who have signed up for it. Yep. So yeah, it's really
we love what you're doing with GDU. I mean, it's like the perfect kind of like, partnership in a sense, because you're giving the best practices to someone that wants to make their business better. Like that is a customer that we love to work with, because those are the small businesses that are going to keep winning in this market. So can't wait to keep working with y'all for the years ahead.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a million ways to hire someone, but if you want to do it quickly, easily, and efficiently, and even extremely cost effectively, and hopefully he doesn't raise the prices on us because I said this, Wizehire is definitely the choice. I can't even believe it. It really is. I do feel like I'm robbing him.
It should feel like magic, man. It should feel, you should feel irresponsible if you're not using it. Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like a robber, and I feel responsible because I am using it. So if you seriously need employees for your small business, regardless of what it is, strongly recommend. I know I've had huge success on the admin marketing side, sales as well. On the technician side, I think all platforms struggle a little bit just because a lot of the technicians aren't on LinkedIn and all these job sites. So, but
just be patient, be focused, you'll find out.
100%. So I would say just continuously advertise for those positions because you know there are going to be positions that you need to fill. So I know I'm not getting paid for this. Are you paying me, Sid?
I'm not, Ryan. We are just partners in helping your business be more successful. So exactly. I'm appreciative of y'all having me on the show.
But I love to share great systems, processes, and software when we find it. And so I just want to give a shout out to you, Sid, your entire team. And I want to thank you for coming on and let everybody know that I am not being paid. It's not a paid promotion. I'm literally telling you, you have to sign up for this. It's cheap. It drove some phenomenal people my way, and I couldn't be more happy with a platform to make it that easy and simple, and utilizing it fully, I think, is very important. So their support is great. Their team is, their staff's amazing. So make sure you check out Wizehire. That's WIZEHIRE.com, Wizehire.com. And if you need anything, reach out to us through Torsion Talk Podcast Facebook page. We'll help you get connected or send you our affiliate link so we can both get paid. I don't know how that works, but we'll figure that out. So thank you, Sid. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks again for having me. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate it. Hope you all have a great week. Okay.
Yep. See you. Thanks, Tamara, for co-hosting with me.
You're welcome.
And laughing at my bad jokes.
As always.
All right. Y'all have a good week.